Hello out there. Welcome everybody to another live session here from AutoCrit. My name is Daniel. I'm the head story coach here at AutoCrit. I also do a lot of the lessons in our academy side and workshops. And of course, I always love to host these live, exciting writing challenges. And it's time to begin the Picture That short story writing challenge. Yes, it's another month. It's time for a new challenge. So this one's going to be a lot of fun. For this writing challenge, we are going to be giving you some image prompts, and the idea is for you to get inspired by them. We're not entirely sure what you're going to do with them, and as you'll see soon, they can be rather interesting. We're going to give you one today. There's going to be another one next week, which will provide a little bit of a twist for what is going on. To get involved, I'm going to go ahead and throw that link there in the chat. And of course, you can always involve yourself by just going to this link down below. That's the most important thing to do, is to just go ahead and sign up. It is, of course, free to join us for this writing challenge. Now, signing up will give you access to the AutoCrit free forever side, which means you can go ahead and join us in the writer's desk, and you have some tools there available to you. So that'll also give you some tricks and tips and things like that for the challenge, ways to improve your writing. And of course, ultimately, you will need to submit your entry through the writing desk as well. Somebody was asking about closed captioning. I did not intentionally shut that off. So let me go ahead and I'm going to see whether or not I can turn that back on. It's usually automatically on, so I apologize. It's not, I'm going to look into that. I apologize for that. It should be something that automatically is coming up on our streams. So I will figure out what is going on the YouTube side as well. You don't know if you're brave enough to go for another challenge. Yeah, I understand that. I get it. It's can be a bit daunting, but keep in mind with these challenges, you can just do it for fun. You don't actually have to submit to us if you don't want to. You can just use it as some inspiration and some way to get involved in the community. There, of course, are prizes to be found within the challenge. Just for signing up, we do have a grab bag of prizes that we'll be giving out at the end of the challenge. That's another incentive to sign up. Just because you're putting your, what they say, butt in chair, hands on keyboard, right, Bicock? Yeah, we want to incentivize you, and we want you to feel like, yeah, you're accomplishing something. You're setting out to write. That's what we like to do around here. I'm going to go ahead and type something here. Yeah, it was not our intention to shut the CC off. It's usually automatically on. Something got triggered, and I'm sorry about that. I don't know how to adjust it live here while we're on, but we will get that adjusted as soon as I'm able to. So I apologize about that. The rules. The rules for this challenge. Somebody's asking who won in June. You're going to want to go to the finale of June if you want to find out who won that. That was done live. We generally with we will do a live reading and we'll have a live vote, and the winner gets picked out of the studio audience, so to speak, our live audience. And so that is what happened last month. We generally don't announce names, and so yeah, go ahead and check out that stream. You can hear the entire winning story there from June. All right, so what are the rules? We don't actually have a lot of rules when it comes to this challenge, which might be easier or harder for you depending on how your mind works. The rules for this challenge is we want no longer than 2,000 words. Okay, so you do have a fair amount of wiggle room. We expanded that in June. We thought it went rather well, so we're going to keep that up. So that means we'll probably end up somewhere between 4 and 6 finalists. It depends on the length of their pieces. If everybody hits that 2,000 words, then if everybody hits the 2,000 words, then we probably will go more to the 4 side. But if there's a mix, we might go more to the 5. And if they're very short, more of the 6. There is no minimum, although granted, if you only write like a 5-word entry, probably not going to make the final round. It's probably not going to be quite competitive with some of the other ones. We are looking for a narrative. So please write a narrative. Don't do just a self-help guideline, although that would make little sense. Although I guess if you write a self-help guideline as based on this prompt, probably going to be an interesting narrative. So go ahead and do that. And experimental forms of literature are fine. If you want to write a poem, if you want to write a group of texts, if you want to whatever, write it like a blog post, that is all fine. But keep in mind what we're looking for is general narrative fiction. So a character with some sort of problem, some sort of conflict. You don't necessarily have to resolve it within the 2,000 words. You can keep it open-ended, particularly, if you're going kind of scary or creepy or something with that. Often those end up open-ended where the audience gets to determine what happened to the character. But yeah, all of that is available. We do not care about the genre. Last contest, the big May short story challenge had winners from all different sorts of genre, and even though the last one was specifically designed to talk about narrative tension, we had a lot of different styles as well. We had some that were more fantasy and more sci-fi and more you could call literary fiction and things like that. You keep doing these challenges because it's helping your writing. Well, that's the whole goal, right? That's what we like to see. That is precisely why we do the challenges. We do the challenges so that it will help you with your writing. We understand we only have so many spots for the people that get selected to be read here live on YouTube. And so, that's going to be a certain amount of people. But for everybody else who involves themselves, I want to be like you're all winners, like it's a participation trophy or something condescending. But yes, you are in fact growing your craft. You are going through these exercises. And, all of these challenges are not only designed to be fun, but we deliberately design them to stretch your skills as an artist and try to fine tune your work. And I see now we have people talking about doing haiku. Haiku might be a little short, maybe a series of haikus or haikus is part of it. That is fair enough. Interlocking haiku. I like it. It's getting very interesting. I'm not sure what you mean by do we have to keep clear, Katarina? Please let me know what you are defining by that. It does need to incorporate the prompt. So incorporates the prompt that I am about to share, not just yet. But yes, that is going to be your big that's really the biggest thing about this challenge. That's why it's called the Picture That Challenge. We're going to give you a picture. Now, how literal you take the picture is going to be up to you. You can take it directly and try to imagine why this picture exists, what this is actually picturing, perhaps. You've got some possibilities. Or if you want to go a little more abstract, that's okay too. I'm not going to be incredibly picky about, I don't know if this really fits in with the topic so much. However, keep in mind when it comes to the finalists, I will be looking for people who incorporated the prompt the best. That is the challenge, right? So even though it's not, necessarily going to disqualify you, you're probably only going to make it to the end if you're incorporating the prompt well, creatively, in interesting ways. And again, that's the whole fun. Do you need to keep it clean? Clean-ish. It's any genre, but remember it will be read on YouTube. Okay, so some bad language is okay. Somewhere in the R rating we're pretty comfortable with. We don't pretend to be a video for children or things like that. We don't even mind if it, kind of hits some of the censors. We're not trying to you know, this is not a major effort for us that we need to be too worried about the YouTube censors. But certain criminal behavior, I certainly don't want to have sexual violence on minors, things like that, super edgy things, super graphic violence. No, I would say again, try to keep it more, as a softer R rating. I think that would be pretty well. And if you have any question in the bottom right hand, have to worry whether or not your entry is going to be disqualified or not make the end just because it's not quite what we would consider YouTube friendly enough. Obviously, we're in. Artists can do whatever they want, but we do want to keep in mind YouTube standards and just we are reading it out loud, and so with a little bit of caution on that. We generally don't have a lot of issues with people going well outside the boundaries of what we would consider to be acceptable. It's pretty rare. Nothing that would require a trigger warning. I wouldn't say that. If you go back to June, I mean, that was pretty triggering. We had an abusive husband and domestic abuse. So we're pretty comfortable with getting tough on the content. Yeah, I think my internet's being a little laggy here. I apologize for that. I haven't changed anything in my setup, but I don't know. It's acting a little bit funny. So, but thankfully, it's only a picture that you have to look at, so that shouldn't be too affected. You do want to submit by July 28th. Okay? So please keep that in mind. It's the end of this month. You got time to write it. We also, of course, are going to have a twist. Yes, maybe more than one twist, but there's at least one twist next week that is scheduled in, and that is going to be another picture. Yes, next week it'll be another picture. Correct. I'm going to repeat myself in case there was a glitch. Next week there will be another picture that we want to that you'll need to utilize. I'm just looking at this comment. What a great writing space. I know my writing space is amazing, isn't it? Just love it. It's very inspirational, particularly for a picture that challenge. Yes. Yeah, you could finish the story and then need to rewrite it. But yeah, you may want to like get halfway through or things like that. The story should incorporate both pictures. Yes. And they're not going to be very similar to one another. I'm just warning you up front. This is intended to be a challenge. The first picture is going to be rather strange. The second picture is going to be even stranger. So, if you're not in the mood for some sort of creative adventure and going off and saying yes to yourself, because that's what this is really about. This is like true improv. Say yes to yourself. Be like, yeah, that's an amazing idea. And just go for it, balls to the wall, that kind of thing. That's the kind of challenge this is. And you might come out of it and you may not think this is your most favorite work ever, or you might think it's a little silly, but that's the point, right? Like, one thing I often recommend to any artist is try to overcome your fear of embarrassment as much as you can. And one way is by deliberately putting yourself into situations that you might feel embarrassed by. So, yeah, if you're going to go into this and you're like, I don't know, if you give me these weird pictures and there's a weird picture and another, I'm going to come up with something that's really odd. Yes, embrace it, right? Embrace the weird. Yes, stranger the better. Strange is awesome. I love it. Yes, this is the kind of attitude you need to have. And if this is not typically you, I'm not asking you to completely change your personality and become like some crazy extrovert that's running around a cruise ship and doing drunk karaoke. You know. But on the other hand, hopefully we can move you more in that direction, and this will free up your mind. It'll free up some of your confidence. Yeah, put yourself out there. Creative interpretations are welcome for sure. You do not have to take these photographs literally. In fact, I'd be very surprised if anybody could incorporate both of them literally. And no, a creative interpretation of it is what this challenge is all about. Go in all kinds of interesting directions. All right, so time to talk about the prompts. No, of course not. That's too easy. Instead, I'd want to point out some other great events we have going in AutoCrit, and then we'll get to the prompt. It'll be just a minute. So, narrative tension we have coming up tomorrow, July 10th, and this Sunday. It's going to be 2 sessions that you can be a part of. It's a really, really fun workshop. I think a lot of you on here, I recognize names, have taken it before because it's kind of an AutoCrit classic. But one thing I love about it is how it really incorporates any genre. It gives you the tips and tricks on how to maintain attention, and it even incorporates the literary masterpiece, The Monster at the End of This Book. And how can you not like a workshop that incorporates such brilliant pieces of literature? So I do recommend that. Will the photos be sent by email? Yes, if you sign up. So sign up. So I'm going to put that again. Ding, there it is. Sign up. Okay, sign up for the challenge. You could also sign up for the workshop. Sign up for the challenge, and you will get that email with a photo. Otherwise, no. So yeah, you need to be signed up. Give us the prompt already. All right, we're almost there. Just a couple more. Story Sculptor begins later this month. That is a 45-day look at writing, well, actually taking your first draft all the way to a finished, polished end. That's the case. That's fine. You can always go back and watch the replay. I seem to be do 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 do. All right, I was lagging. Sorry about that. But yeah, Story Sculptor is a lot of fun. We take you from the first draft to the final polished draft. We go through all of the steps on that. Looking forward to that. Nice, fantastic. If you're AutoCrit subscribers, do you need to sign up for the challenge? Yes, if you want the updates. For sure, because we're not going to assume that every member is involved in the challenge, right? Of course, we'd love every member to be involved in the challenge. That would be an awful lot of challenge members. If everybody got involved, that would be highly competitive, but then it would be awesome, right? It would be really hard. We might have to do everybody get involved, and we might have to make the finale 2 hours and 20 stories or something to make up for all that. Fine, push us. That's great. We love to see people writing. The final thing I want to talk about is tonight. This is open for all AutoCrit members, so you don't have to get a special ticket or anything like that. If you're just an AutoCrit Pro member, you can come to the Book Blender, which will be a fun little brainstorming session with me at 7 p.m. Check that out. We also have an Adventure Club session coming tomorrow, so that'll be fun. We're going to talk about what makes a good adventure book and an action book. We have a lot of people who write it who asked us for it. So we have a special one-shot adventure club coming tomorrow. That'll be, though, at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's kind of a different time. We're experimenting with some new time for clubs and member events because we do get feedback that I'm not available at that time. But of course, if you're not available at a specific time, you can always watch recordings of everything, whether it be workshops, courses, clubs. We want to make it convenient for you. So yeah, check it out. All right. Here's your picture, by the way. Yes. So here's your prompt, everyone. Make of it what you will. I'm not even going to describe what this prompt is, this visual. You get to tell me what this visual is and what it means to you. This is your starting point. Again, if you think this is weird, just wait till you see what comes next week. It's giving you Hemingway vibes. Oh, that's nice. You feel a fourth grade math problem vibe. Just stupefied reaction. I love it. uh, Pineapple farmer. Okay. Perhaps. Perhaps. Yeah. So anyway, what you make of it is what you make of it. This is your starting prompt. Again, we're ultimately going to be looking for a 2,000 word short story. Is it some pineapple? And ham pizza in your picture. Now I know why they keep it clean. It was asked. Okay. I'm really, really, really curious. So weird. Well, I did warn you. I did warn you, in fact. It practically writes itself. I'm glad you feel like that. I don't know if that's ironic or not, but if whatever, we'll take it. Yeah, so yeah, be inspired. Now, when it comes to image prompts like this, this is a typical sort of writing technique that a lot of authors do, or at least I've done before, where I literally flip through random things. Some things that people like to do is a random Wikipedia article. And the best way to incorporate this sort of thing, in my opinion, is again to embrace the yes. Embrace that it's a good idea. And then go with that. And then be like, oh, it's a good idea. Go with that. And then, oh, it's a good idea. Go with that. And just keep going with it. Eventually, you can start to pull back and be like, okay, I don't know if it's actually a good idea. But what you don't want to do is immediately throttle yourself and, like, well, I don't know. Does that make sense? Is that a little silly? Is that good? No, no, no. This is not about being good and not being silly or being rational or believable or any of those boring things. This is about going balls to the walls, creative, nuts, and then thinking, okay, now that we've kind of gone through my drunk brainstorming phase, what do I got here, right? Because that's when you're often going to get to some really cool, interesting ideas. You can think of all of the really wacky ideas that people have made pull off. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Just the title itself seems a little silly. Something like Guardians of the Galaxy, where you have like a talking raccoon and a talking tree, and people cried, right? It wasn't even like they had a good time. Like people cried, people were emotionally affected. So don't throttle yourself, right? Go for it, think about it in all different kinds of ways. Fantastic. Somebody is asking if they can receive a copy of the anthology from last month. We are not publishing it. It is going to be printed as a trophy for the winners. Now, if you want to, reach out in the AutoCrit community and ask some of the readers to publish their stories themselves, that's up to them. It is possible that some of the winners may, in fact, submit to other publications, and so we don't want to rob them of their opportunity of being involved in, professional publications out there or other anthologies or things like that. When are we contacting the winners? The winners were announced last week. So if you did not check out that event, we spoke to we announced all of them in terms of like the contact information, so that we can get addresses and things like that. Uh, that's going to happen very soon, because we'll be printing that up very soon, and therefore, yeah. That's going to be the case. So certainly, if you are one of the winners, don't worry. We will be getting your trophy anthology to you fairly soon. We do have to do some formatting, some editing and tweaking and whatnot, but we are working hard at that. Should we look to this as an illustration to the story? Perhaps you can think of this as a literal scene that takes place in a story that somebody comes across this. Or it could be just an inspiration, right? Maybe this symbolically means something to you and you want to go that direction. Like I said, when it comes to the finalists, what I'm going to be looking for are people that incorporated the prompt cleverly, not necessarily on the nose exactly the way it is, although if you can in a fun and interesting way, if you can have a reason why this is existing, fair enough. But if you want to go a little more abstract, again, that's not going to disqualify you. But I'm going to be looking for people who are able to incorporate the prompt as much as possible. Plus, the next prompt, which of course you'll have to wait for next week to learn about that. And I do recommend go ahead and starting writing. Yeah, you could say, oh yes, I'm just going to kick up my shoes and I'm going to wait until next week and write it then. Obviously, I can't stop you. But the intention of the challenge is that you go ahead and get started right now. And so that way you have to adjust for the next picture because that's basically the challenge, right? As how creatively nimble are you? How much are you willing to give up your darlings? How much are you willing to adjust? So it's a lot more fun, in my opinion, if you handle it that way. How much you want to write is up to you. If you want to write your whole story and then have to rewrite it, fair enough. If you want to write maybe 1,000 words, figure that the next prompt is going to be somewhere halfway through. Okay. You want that next pick. There are only 2 picks. I'm not saying, but I will say there's at least one twist. Again, the whole purpose of this is to be a little bit adventurous and out of the box. So, yes. Theoretically, I could end up with 2 stories. I mean, I suppose you could submit something that's 2 short stories that are under 2,000 words, but that's not really the intention. Yes, there is at least one twist. That doesn't mean there are more. I'm just saying there's at least one. If you're feeling a little bit on edge and nervous, that's the idea. The idea is that you should think about the unknown. This is the unknown. This is the I'm going to be adventurous and spontaneous. This is not about planning far ahead. If you think you've planned far ahead, you're probably going to be frustrated with this challenge. Now, that's just the way this is going to work. You don't know how you feel about that. I don't know. It's just how it is. It's a grand adventure for you. Um, we often end up with writers with the end of some of these spontaneous sort of challenges that feel like a little bit frustrated with us when they have to change things around. But on the other hand, they're often very appreciative that we expanded their horizons. That's really the goal. As much as I joke around and I kind of have fun and act like I'm torturing you and getting some delightful glee out of it, totally not accurate whatsoever. As much as I act like that, it's really about growing you as an artist, right? It's really about expanding you. Now, for some of you, this is not going to be quite so bizarre because you're like, yeah, whatever. I totally pants. I like makes up stuff like crazy. Fair enough. Maybe the next challenge will be a little bit stranger for you, right? Not every challenge is going to be a crazy challenge for every person. Yeah, exactly. I love challenges. It pushes you out of things you didn't realize existed. That's exactly why we do this, right? And so, to some degree, the ambiguity about what comes next is part of the challenge. And yeah, we want to do that. Okay. Can the story have 2 chapters? One involving pineapples, the second being about the next picture. I'm not saying you can't do that, but I am going to be looking for people that are nimble, right? That are creatively nimble, that are able to incorporate as much of the as I don't even want to say. They're able to incorporate as much as what we give you, I'll say it that way, into their final product. I really like this idea, so you have to get used to adjusting my plot after I have it in my head. Well, I mean, hopefully you don't have to throw the whole thing out. As much as I do expect there to be some fun turns and changes and whatnot necessary as a result of what comes next, hopefully it doesn't make you have to blow things up. I'm not going to say like you must not have a dog in your story or something like that. It's not that kind of challenge. This is not Destination Nation Unknown. I'm not going to give you a line of dialogue to include. Everything that I will say this, everything that's going to be included as part of this challenge is going to be image based. So it does give you it does give you flexibility because even in this image, there were lots of things that you could draw inspiration from. A major developmental edit for a short story. That's great. It's not a good story until something explodes. Well, I'm not. You could make something explode. Maybe the next picture will be something exploding. It's possible, but that doesn't mean just because I have a picture of something exploding that you have to completely change what your plot is. Maybe you could just make something explode. I don't know. All right. Well, I certainly hope you're having as much fun as we are. We love these challenges, as you can tell. I have a blast. I love talking to all of you. It's only because of all of you that I can do what I love, which is talk about writing, inspire artists, be part of this whole AutoCrit community, which is always so much fun. Keep in mind, as I said earlier, if you are involved in this challenge, congratulations. You're now part of the AutoCrit community. Yay! So you can join us for some of our member events. Like in just a minute, we're going to have some office hours, and you can join us for that. You'll also be able to join us in the writer's desk. And there are a lot of tools available there. You don't have the full breadth of tools as a free member, but we definitely let you get your feet wet and find out what's going on in the AutoCrit space. So I recommend diving in there, checking it out. There's some fantastic tools It's amazing what's up there, even at the free level. So I really recommend going in there. And of course, you can like, subscribe to this YouTube channel because we're going to continue to have live sessions all throughout the year, and a lot of challenges. We love to have challenges. We tend to have a challenge every month, more or less. And so if you're enjoying this so far, yep, we're going to have more of the same. Anyway, I will see you around AutoCrit. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye, everyone. You have a wonderful day.